Hi, Democrats. Today is Friday, October 16th, and we are 18 days away from the election. So I start out with that because I want to make sure that you are working with whomever you need to work with. You have found your local candidate to support, and you are going out on this glorious weekend. The weather is great. So I want to make sure that you're helping whatever you can with no-touch literature jobs. They're actually knocking doors now, putting out signs, doing text banking, phone banking. We are in the home stretch, guys. We are at less than 3 weeks. So find a local candidate if you haven't already been working with. And if you have been working with them, give them a little bit more time because we are in the home stretch and there's been a whole bunch of craziness here lately nationally. Find some local candidates to help. Okay, I just wanted to get that out of the gate. So we're 18 days before the election. I hope and pray that you have made your plan to vote. There are four ways that you can vote, right? So there is voting from home. There are 2 ways you can do that. One, you can fill out your ballot, request your ballot, and you have until October 27th. So you still have 11 more days to request your ballot. You can request your ballot, complete it, get all the stuff filled out, drop it off at your county election board, or you can drop it in the mail. We're running out of days where you can drop it in the mail safely and be confident that it'll get there. So if you picked one of those choices, make sure you know what you're going to do. If you're going to put it in the mail, get it done this weekend and get it in the mail. If you're going to drop it off, get it done this weekend and be ready on Monday to go drop it off in person. The third way is early in-person voting. In every county but Tulsa County, it is at your county election board on Thursday the 29th, Friday the 30th, and Saturday the 31st. That's every county but Tulsa. Early voting is Thursday, Friday, Saturday, directly before the election. In Tulsa, the days are the same, except the early voting will not be at the county election board. And just for an extra little note for Tulsa folks, it also won't be at Hardesty Library. That's what we're always talking about. It will only be at One Oak Baseball Field. And they've moved it to One Oak Baseball Field because they can get more ballots in there so that we can socially distance. So, just so there's more space and we're safer. So One Oak Baseball Field, 201 North Elgin, if you're in Tulsa. Every other county is at your county election board. Don't want you to miss that. And then the final way you can vote is on Tuesday, November 3rd. And the polls will be open from 7 to 7. If you've been watching TV or listening to the news, you know that in states that have already started early voting, I'm a little jealous. They've already started early voting. And in Georgia, they have broken records from early voting. In North Carolina, they broke records early voting. Texas, they're breaking records, even though there's all kinds of voter suppression going on in all 3 of those states. Folks are showing up and waiting in line and casting their votes. We can too. Oklahoma, we're so used to not having to wait in line. I don't want you to be worried about it. I want you to think that, I'll come back. Just stand in line, stay in line. And if you're in line when the poll closes, and that's either on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, or Tuesday. If you're in line at the time that they say they're closing, stay in line. Stay in line, because if you're in line at the time they say they're closing, they still have to let you vote. They still have to let you cast your vote. So I'm going to encourage you to please stay in line. It's really important. Your vote matters. Do not wait until this point. And and then throw away your shot, right? So make sure that you make a plan to vote. Make sure that you pick a couple of candidates to help. Make sure that you understand your ballot. You can go out to the Oklahoma State Election Board and put in your name and your birthday and view a sample ballot if you're not voting by absentee. It will have a picture, and you can print it out if you want to, but it will have everything that is on your particular ballot. So my ballot may be different from your ballot unless you live in my precinct. We all have different ballots. So go find your ballot, study your ballot. So what at a minimum is going to be on everybody's ballot. We have the president and vice president. We have a U.S. Senate candidate. You know, we don't get those all the time. We have a U.S. Senate candidate, and we have a young, feisty, intelligent woman who believes in climate change, in climate science for U.S. Senate, Abby Broyles. Every congressional district in Oklahoma this time around has a congressional candidate. So that will be on every ballot. And then on most ballots, you will have a state house candidate, and you might have a state Senate candidate, depending on what district you live in. Additionally, there are judges and there are state questions. And in different, depending on your county, there may be charter amendments for your county, like Oklahoma County has charter amendments. And so the two state questions that are on the ballot this time around are State Question 805 and State Question 814. 814 is concerned with TSET dollars, which are the Tobacco Settlement Endowment Fund, and it's trying to give the legislature more of the dollars that we voted for to go to cancer research and smoking cessation, and give it to the legislature so they can spend it. That's a big fat no. That's a big fat no. And so on 805, there's been a lot of controversy about 805. There's been a lot of chit chat. Today, I've had 3 personal conversations with people in my life about 805. And so I've invited someone to join us today who can speak to 805 with a lot more in depth than I can. And so I want to welcome Jacqueline. Hello, Jacqueline, to talk to us about State Question 805. So give us the non-legalese short version of what 805 is meant to do.
Well, thank you so much, Chairman Andrews. I appreciate you giving 805 the space and for educating Oklahoma voters. State Question 805 would help end the decades-long prison sentences for nonviolent crimes, which would save Oklahomans millions of dollars currently spent on overcrowded prisons, and giving people another chance. Currently, if you ever have been convicted of a nonviolent offense anytime in your past, and then you subsequently commit another nonviolent offense, if it could be completely unrelated, it could be years later, currently you are subjected to what's called sentence enhancements, repeat sentencing penalties. So based upon that prior nonviolent, decades could be stacked upon beyond the maximum sentence for that current crime. Evidence has shown that it doesn't help recidivism. It doesn't make us safer. And these excessive sentences are a reason why Oklahoma is one of the leading incarcerators in the nation. So that is what State Question 805 will do. It's a very modest, common sense reform that will address this excessive sentencing problem that we have in Oklahoma.
So just so I'm clear, I'm 20 years old. I don't know how to manage my checking account, and I write enough checks that I have to go to jail for it. So I serve my time. I am no longer on paper. Now I'm 40 years old and I steal some steaks from the grocery store. Can they go back and enhance my charges because of the thing that I did 20 years ago?
Absolutely. That's what State Question 805 is seeking to stop. What happens now is not only do you pay for your subsequent crime, but you have to pay again for something for which you've already been held accountable. So it's never really giving people an opportunity to pull themselves up or to improve themselves. It's like you got punished, and we're going to punish you doubly because you messed up again, even though you got punished that first time.
Right. So when I first started reading about 805, I was told that Oklahomans spend 80% more time, or is it 20% more time? I get the numbers wrong, in prison for the same crimes than like our neighboring states, Kansas and New Mexico.
Well, that is such a great question. The reason why State Question 805 and why legal advocates and business leaders and faith leaders are pushing for this ballot initiative is because Oklahomans currently spend 79% longer for nonviolent drug offenses than the rest of the nation, and 69% longer for low-level property crimes. And let me just read off a couple of the examples of the kind of crimes that we're talking about that State Question 805, some of the sentences that 805 will impact. Bruce, a vet, was sentenced to 17 years for pawning a stolen laptop. Barry was serving 20 years in prison for stealing a lawnmower. Amy was sentenced to 15 years for stealing basic necessities and children's toys from a Walmart, all because these individuals had prior non-violent low-level convictions. So they got way beyond the maximum sentence for that particular crime.
So 17 years for, so we paid to incarcerate somebody for 17 years for a laptop.
Mary got 20 years for writing $850 worth of bad checks. Now, it's approximately $20,000 a year to warehouse this nonviolent. This person's been convicted of a nonviolent. And if we're giving them 20 years for $850 worth of bad checks, the math just doesn't quite add up. Not for me, especially when a lot of these individuals are impacted because they've had a mental health issue or a substance abuse issue that was never treated. The monies that could be saved from State Question 805, close to $200 million over years, close to $200 million that could be reinvested in education, substance abuse, mental health, victim services. It costs approximately $2,000 a year for someone to get substance abuse help versus $20,000 a year to warehouse them.
Okay, that's just shameful and wasteful, and I don't know, disrespectful to the human concept. It's awful. So I've been, like I said, I've been talking to people about this, and some of the African American men I've talked to about this feel like this is a too good to be true law. And then some of the women that I've talked to have a concern about the domestic violence piece. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Absolutely. Look, I'm going to be totally transparent. There is no silver bullet. There is a lot of work to do here in the state of Oklahoma. The history behind the sentence enhancements is that back in the 90s, there were some horrible crimes that happened in California and Massachusetts. And so sentence enhancements were created for these violent crimes in California, Massachusetts, and most of the states created that. However, Oklahoma decided to do it for all crimes. So this has been a decades-long process. So I get why people would say there's going to be a lot of work to do to undo this. So this is the first right step in helping reduce our overcrowded prisons. So it's not a silver bullet, but it is the first right step in trying to eradicate the fact that we are the leading incarcerator of women and have been for decades, and we are the leading incarcerator of Blacks. So it will have an impact in that it will stop this use of sentence enhancements and stacking on. As for the domestic violence piece, this State Question 805 is by no means a free pass. Individuals will still be held accountable. If someone is convicted of domestic violence, they still can receive up to 10 years and does not even have to have a prior conviction. So State Question 805 does not impact the ability to prosecute someone or an abuser who is convicted of domestic violence. But more importantly, the savings that are realized from State Question 805 can be reinvested into education about domestic violence to get to the root causes of it and to help more victims have the resources and the time that they need to get to safety so that an abuser can be held accountable. That's why I feel like State Question 805 is important for that, because it will reinvest these resources to help more victims become survivors. Oh, you're muted.
Thank you. Those are the two biggest objections that I've heard in my crusade, because I am a proponent of 805. And I like to have, because, I haven't done the work that you've done. I'm not on the committee or the campaign. I've just done a lot of reading about it and I support it, but I wanted to have a subject matter expert come and answer the questions so that people can hear it from someone else, from someone who knows a little bit more about it. So I greatly appreciate you jumping on with such short notice.
Oh, I appreciate that. Any opportunity to educate Oklahomans. I want to make sure that people know there's such important down ticket items that we need to vote on that will help our community. So anybody who wants to educate Oklahoma voters, I applaud them. Thank you so much for the work that you do. Chairman Andrews, you are a hero in my esteem, so I appreciate you so much.
All right, I greatly appreciate that. So guys, please find a local candidate. Please educate people on Yes on 805. We have 18 days. We're in the home stretch. We need to get as many people filling out the ballot, not just for president, all the way down. I heard something yesterday that I thought was great. You should complete your ballot from the bottom up.
That's right.
Because the stuff that's on the bottom is the stuff that deals with your life more closely. So start at the bottom, deal with the stuff from the bottom up, and get to the president last. You guys have a great day, and I will be back on Monday. And if you haven't bought your tickets for Elizabeth Warren yet, please check out our website, sign up, Elizabeth Warren, October 22nd. Thank you, Jacqueline. I appreciate you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.